Ink ribbon.
I am sad to say this is my final video covering Outbreak characters. I saved one of the best characters for last though, because you guys have been asking for this for a long time, and I am so happy to finally be doing this facts video. And joining me today is none other than Suzi the Sphere Hunter, who just happens to be a very big fan of this character. So with all that, from literally breaking the game to mispronouncing her name, here are 25 facts about Alyssa Ashcroft.
Alyssa was a journalist for a newspaper called Comet News, but by 1998 had begun working at the Daily Raccoon. It's also worth mentioning that January Van Sant from Resident Evil Resistance also briefly worked for Comet News as an investigative journalist. Alyssa is known for having a very no-nonsense attitude and is extremely focused on whatever she sets her mind to. She is also the strongest and fastest female character out of the 3 Outbreak female protagonists. Alyssa has the special ability to lockpick lockers, drawers, and even some doors. She has 4 different shaped picks to choose from, which are I, S, W, and P, or if you rearrange them, it spells WISP, which is a lot easier to remember. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to choose the right lockpick to open things. It'll just be significantly faster if you use the correct one. She also can't unlock doors that require keys because obviously she'd become the best character in the game and be able to bypass almost every single puzzle in the game. Her other skill is her backstep. Basically, this makes her dodge backwards with a little hop, and thanks to its fast animation, can be used to avoid damage in a lot of situations, though timing can be tricky. Alyssa has one more hidden ability, which is her pot shot. Just like Kevin, aiming any handgun-type weapon and waiting a moment will make her refocus, and any shot fired after this will guarantee a critical hit. She and Kevin are the only 2 characters that can do this. In File 2, characters were given a unique bonus item to start with. For Alyssa, that item is a stun gun, also known as a taser. This is meant more as a defensive weapon to get enemies away from you. Most players throw it away once all the charges are used up, but you can actually recharge it if you combine it with a battery. It's also worth mentioning you can hold down the attack button for a continuous stun lock. When Alyssa is an AI-controlled character in single-player mode, unless you're playing as George or David, she will pretty much always run off and do her own thing.
Alyssa! Someone help me!
No! Over here!
One good thing about her is that she rarely dies, and will usually turn up with whatever key items you need. But the downside is she also won't usually save you or engage in combat. She's also infamous for denying almost all requests for exchanging items. Something most players don't know is that when Alyssa is one of your AI partners, she actually can unlock things with her lockpick. It's very rare, but if there are no enemies in the room, you can get her to stand in the right spot in front of the lock. There's a very slim chance that she will unlock it. If you want to try this yourself, you can stand next to the locker you want her to open and request an item to get her there. We tried really hard to do this, and finally got it to happen in the zoo level, but she was promptly interrupted by the elephant.
Alyssa.
Resident Evil games have never been known to have glitches that seriously affect the game, but Alyssa changed all of that. If you play as her during the Outbreak scenario, if you use her ad-lib, there's a high chance that the game will completely crash, forcing the player to restart. It's worth mentioning that this was, in fact, fixed for the PAL version of the game. Alyssa has a total of 5 outfits. First is her default, which is a stylish red business wear ensemble with a pair of brown leather boots, and her press badge, which if you ever wanted a closer look at is visible in this render. Her second unlockable outfit, dubbed Midnight Collar, consists of a sexy red dress that borders on lingerie, and a pair of high heels. Then there's her street scene outfit, comprised of a sporty halter top, track pants, sneakers, sweatbands, and stylish orange sunglasses, along with her hair pulled up into a bun. Her third outfit reveals that she's a skilled fighter, wearing a full karate gi, even having her name in kanji embroidered on it. And lastly is her Victory Road outfit, consisting of a white visor and matching halter top and hot pants. We originally assumed this was some kind of marathon running outfit, but after some Googling, we realized this is a lot closer to the uniforms worn by professional beach volleyball players, which means that Alyssa could potentially be into several different sports, including karate, running, and volleyball. It's also worth mentioning she has the numbers 813 written on her arms. We looked all over the internet for what these numbers could mean, and it brought up everything from I love you, to Bible verses, to a type of Japanese train. So we'll let you guys figure out what these numbers might mean to you. In File 2, Alyssa is voiced by Wendy Lee, who is one of those voice actors that has been in so many things it's hard to list here. But among some of her famous roles are Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop, Bulma in Dragon Ball Super, Haruhi Suzumiya, both Akane and Miyu from Danganronpa, and many, many more. There was a big change between actors in File 1 versus File 2, with many of the voices being noticeably different, but one of the weirdest changes was most of the characters going from calling her Alyssa to calling her Alyssa, which always personally annoyed me, Suzi Hunter.
Alyssa. Alyssa.
Alyssa! 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 Alyssa!
The only thing we can guess about that is simply that it's the Japanese pronunciation of her name, which is backed up by the SP item Forgotten Gi, which has her name in Japanese written as Arisa. As for why this change was made, you'd have to ask Alice in court.
A bulk of Alyssa's SP items are related to materialistic things like clothes, shoes, and makeup. She seems to not only be obsessed with looking good, but she's also very confident about being beautiful, as demonstrated by her description for the SP item Stiletto Heels, which reads, "These look hard to walk in, but that's the price you pay when you're drop-dead gorgeous like me." The other majority of her SP items are related to dieting and fitness. These include vitamins, a weight loss patch, diet pills, exercise equipment, and more. Alyssa is very pragmatic and judgmental, often dismissing anything that could be considered nonsense or unimportant to her, as demonstrated by her thoughts about several of her SP items, like the slimming necklace where she comments that people will believe anything. Interestingly, she also has an SP item called Vinyl Wrap that claims to give you abs if you wrap yourself with it, and she decides she's going to try it out. The rest of her SP items are an interesting mix, being an assortment of journalism-related items like cameras, pens, and notebooks, while the rest seem to be a mix of as seen on TV type gimmick items, like a patch that you can stick on to remove a double chin and the infamous anti-fart patch. In 1993, when she was still a young rookie reporter, she accompanied another reporter named Kurt to an old hospital in the Arklay Mountains to investigate illegal drug testing on patients. This resulted in Kurt being killed and eaten by Dorothy, a woman who had been given an early version of the T-virus. This is all revealed in the flashback scenario, which is her canon scenario. While in the hospital back gate, Alyssa's ad-libs reveal that she suppressed the memory to the point of not being able to remember it at all. Speaking of her memory, I really tried to find information about this, even listening to the ad-libs, but I couldn't confirm it. But since it's listed on the wiki and I've seen a couple dusty GameFAQ forums talking about it, I just thought I'd mention this. Greg Mueller apparently performed a procedure on Alyssa to medically suppress some of her traumatic memories. But there's very little info about it, and it's only hinted at. So I guess he must specialize in neuroscience or amnesia because he did the same thing to Yoko. But regardless, just take that with a grain of salt. Even though Alyssa survives the incident in Raccoon City, her main incentive to get out alive was actually because of her former colleague Kurt. In the ending of the flashback scenario, Alyssa shows a lot of compassion towards him, which seems to be rare for her. She and Kurt were friends, and possibly more. What do you guys think?
That hospital's experiments were more than just human rights violations. They were crimes against nature itself. Kurt, your sacrifice won't be in vain. I'll escape this damn town alive and spread the truth about what happened.
At the beginning of the scenario, you might have to navigate through a forest to reach the old hospital. If Alyssa is not in your party, she will run ahead and you will find her either waiting or dead, depending on your difficulty, and she'll give you some items. But if you're playing on hard or very hard, she will turn into a zombie and stalk you. Not just any ordinary zombie though, but a super zombie that cannot be killed, only stunned. It's hinted that Alyssa may not be able to remember that she is a black belt in karate. She has several SP items required to unlock her gi outfit, but all the descriptions seem to trigger some sort of reaction or feeling that she can't explain, along with being able to read her name in Japanese, despite not speaking Japanese. Just for context, the average time for someone to become a black belt is at least 5 years or so. In the Desperate Times scenario, when you talk to Ben as Alyssa, you will get an exclusive dialogue with him where it's very clear that not only do Ben and Alyssa know each other, but they're in competition with each other as reporters. In the adjacent cell are two NPCs, Samuel and Nathan, who are being held for robbery. In the flashback scenario, there's a file called Daily Raccoon, which has the news story covering it, written by Alyssa. Given the way they'd interact, you'd assume that Alyssa has a good relationship with Kevin and Yoko, but she actually gets along best with George and David. She also dislikes Jim, but given her personality, I guess that would make sense. In the first outbreak, each character has a secret pair ending where they decide to stay behind. For Alyssa, she stays with Yoko, and together they use a laptop to send all the evidence they have before the bombs hit.
Thanks for your help. I totally forgot how to connect to the net. My final contribution. We win, right? Sure.
While it's assumed that all Outbreak characters are alive, Alyssa is the only one canonically confirmed to be alive, since we find an article she wrote in Resident Evil 7, which is dated January 19th, 2016. After surviving the incident in Raccoon City, Alyssa went on to be one of the only Outbreak characters to continue in her current career field, going on to work for a newspaper called the Dulvey Daily in Louisiana, where you can even find one of her articles in Resident Evil 7. Which is the only acknowledgement of Outbreak Capcom has given us. Capcom, please, we are begging you to bring Outbreak back. And there you have it, the final Outbreak character. I'm all out of Outbreak facts. If you're a Resident Evil fan and you still have never played Outbreak, I beg you to try it out, even if you play offline single player, because you will probably love it. Big thanks to Suzi for helping me in today's video. Be sure to check out her channel for some really great retrospectives on all your favorite video game franchises. And if you're already a fan of Outbreak, then please join the people ugly crying in the comments because Capcom has yet to bring it back. If you want to know more about Outbreak, I did a video on each character as well as a Secrets and Easter Eggs video covering the game and all its intricate details. Okay, Resident Evil fans, go drink some water and pet your pets. Until next time, I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon.
All my friends are zombies now, and yes, that much is true. You gotta run, you gotta fight, I know it's such a pity.